On today's video, I want to discuss Oprah's very famous interview with Meghan Markle and her husband, Prince Harry. I think there are a lot of takeaways that we can unpack, and we can use their story to help us to start to live the life that we've always dreamed of. Hi, my name is Yonci, and this is my channel, Chasing Yonci. You can find me everywhere on the socials as Chasing Yonci. I invite you to subscribe to my channel if you would like more content about living life abundantly. I also talk about love, sex, dating, and relationships. And before we get started, I have a little favor. Hit that like button to let YouTube know this is the type of content more people should see. Now, let's get into today's topic. Meghan mentioned that the family had an unhealthy obsession with optics, basically how things looked, and there wasn't enough of an emphasis on how people felt. And although this was happening on a severe scale, they had an entire institution, as they called it, making sure that everybody's moves were calculated, most people are guilty of this in their own way. So many people are not living their life in a way that they truly are desiring to live because they're concerned about what other people think. It could be as simple as wanting to wear a fashion that's a little bit outside of what you normally wear. For whatever reason, we as humans like consistency. We don't like change. We like to know what to expect. And so if maybe you're a girly girl and you're always wearing full glam, full beat, 4-inch heels, and you suddenly decide you want to start wearing hoodies and sneakers, there's going to be a lot of chatter. People are going to notice, they're going to make comments. And if you're not secure in yourself, you might feel a little uncomfortable and want to go back to what you're doing just so you don't have to face the music. And I know that's a very lighthearted and innocent example, but a lot of people do things because they want to avoid having to explain themselves to other people. Maybe you've done a career your whole life and you suddenly want to change and everybody has an opinion about it. We have to start making decisions because it will make us happy. And this is different. It's not being dismissive and saying, I don't care what anyone else thinks and I'm going to do whatever I want to do despite the consequences. It's not about that. It's really looking and seeing, is there a consequence? A lot of parents are super opinionated and they're doing it out of love, but they tell their children, you're going to do this career or this career. You ask them, why did you go into this? Well, my dad did it. And my parents really pushed it. I really want everyone watching this video to take a look and say, am I living the life that I've always dreamed of? And if the answer is no, think why? Is it because what you want to do is unconventional? Is what you want to do so far from what you're doing now, you think that everyone's going to be like, what are you doing? I'll be honest, when I started my journey of chasing Yonci, trying to figure out who I was, I shut down all my social media. I stopped using my Facebook account that had all my high school friends and college friends and family members and God knows whoever, because I didn't want to hear anything else. I wanted to drown out any possible naysayer or a question or a comment that could just throw me off because I was so new to this process. I wasn't strong in who I was. I didn't know who I was. Shoot, I'm literally on a journey of trying to have self-discovery. And so I didn't want somebody to say, that's not you, because people will try to define us for the things that we've done in the past. And I saw a beautiful quote, I'm going to butcher it because I don't remember it verbatim, but they said basically, you can reinvent yourself every single day. Who you are today is not the same person as tomorrow, and that is the gift that God gives us. We don't have to be defined by the choices that we've made in the past. So you could be somebody who wears a hoodie for 20 years and you decide you want to start wearing sequin dresses, by all means, go ahead. And be strong enough to not care about what other people think. The other takeaway for me was how present fear was in their everyday life. Oprah even picked up on it and she said, wait a minute, why is the royal family worried about the press? They're the royal family. You would think nobody has that power more than them. Something doesn't have to be true for it to be scary. All you have to do is have the fear and it will cripple you. You think about a scenario when you're a little kid and you hear something screeching outside your window. In your mind, you're thinking it's this hideous monster with long claws and fangs, and you're really scared and you're trembling and you go to the window. But when you face your fear and you fling open your curtains, you realize it's just a branch of the tree scratching your window pane. Unless you go and face your fear head on, it will be a big, scary monster. And for the royals, the idea of the press turning against them was more than they could handle. So think about it. They are willing to sign away the joy from their entire lives, because it's not like something you retire from. You're a royal till death. They are saying, I'm going to live my life in a way that I'm not doing exactly what I want every day because of the fear, possibly, of XYZ. XYZ being bad press. But here's the thing. So many people get past bad press. And often it's how you handle bad press that affects whether or not people even care to keep talking about you the next day. Take somebody like Tiger Woods. We were all talking about the headline when he crashed his car and he had that very messy divorce. Now, nobody cares. I mean, yes, maybe someone alludes to it down the road, but every single day he's not living his life thinking about that. Mike Tyson bit off somebody's ear. We've moved on. Does it get brought up every now and then? Sure. Does he make jokes about it? Of course. But it's not his everyday life. There are things that are worse than bad press. But for them, because it's a history, it's a tradition of always minding their P's and Q's and living in fear, they are probably going to, for a very long time, continue down this path. I challenge you to think about the things that you're scared of. And it's not going to be something obvious like I'm scared of the neighbor's dog is going to jump out and bite me. It's going to be something subtle. I want you to think about the areas of your life where you are discontent and think about the reason why you have not addressed it until now. Think about why you continue to go to that family member's house who pisses you off. Think about why that guy is still in your life even though he makes you miserable. Think about it. When you dig below the surface, you will probably find fear. And that's why I say, do the sniff test and see where there is fear. Face your fears head on, and I guarantee you, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be like the little man in The Wizard of Oz. You're going to see behind the curtain and find out that that big booming voice wasn't scary at all. It's a little man making himself seem so much scarier than he really is. The other takeaway for me is that it's more important that you are mentally well and that you have peace of mind than it is to please your circle, even if your circle is your family. So many people talk about, oh, but that's your family. And of course, just like the other thing, don't go to the extreme. I'm not saying disregard your family's feelings. Don't worry about embarrassing them or hurting them or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying within reason. Understand that people are going to want certain things for your life, but it's your life. Don't let the people around you dictate the type of life that you're going to have. And if your family does things like threaten to disown you or cut you off or play emotional tactics like ignoring you or maybe showing someone else love or not including you in something that you're normally included in, you have to be ready to, again, face your fears. If your worst fear is that your parents are going to be disappointed in you, you got to face it. Because at the end of the day, all you can do is do the best that you can. And usually people can live a life with their head held high if they know that they did everything to the best of their ability. And guess what? Our family members are human beings and they're flawed. There are some people who get mad at you for dumb reasons. I watched a show the other day. The mom was upset because the daughter didn't want to hate her dad. The mom had a very, unhealthy relationship with her ex-husband and it's hostile and she doesn't like him and she can't handle being in the room. But her mom was displeased because the daughter wanted to invite her own father to her wedding. And in the episode, her daughter was advising her, the granddaughter was advising her, don't go against grandma. Grandma's always been there for you, yada, yada, yada. But I had a completely different take. I'm like, it is your wedding, woman. It is your wedding. It's okay if your mom gets upset. Sometimes it's through these conflicts that our family members can grow. And although it's not our job to grow someone, because obviously you can't grow somebody else, but sometimes it's in standing up for yourself that helps that person to see where they were wrong. So find that balance. Do you, boo-boo, but be respectful and be patient and be kind. But don't hold back your life because you're going, I don't want to upset my mom. I don't want to upset my dad. I don't want to make my cousin mad at me. My best friend hates this person, so I got to hate this person. I don't want to upset them. Don't tiptoe around when it goes outside of your own boundaries. Someone else's wants and desires do not have to be yours, and it's okay to tell them that. It's okay to remove yourself And like I said, embrace the worst case scenario. You will be okay. I promise you. The other thing that came out that I was so surprised by was when Harry compared Meghan and how great she was with people to his mother, his deceased mother. And I noticed how well he handled questions. Meghan was very direct in answering questions, even though she was still careful in how she worded things and she didn't want to step on anyone's toes. But Harry was very, very good about not outright saying something, but you look in his eyes and you can kind of pick up on it. And one of the things that he was sharing was that the family seemed to really embrace Meghan until she started thriving. And ironically, it was on the Australian tour, which is the same tour that his mom was on previously, and she was really thriving. He was describing all these amazing attributes, and Oprah was confused. She's like, wait, you're saying all these wonderful things that Meghan did that would make the family look good. Why in the world would there be a negative effect? What he didn't want to say outright, but Oprah definitely had no problem saying, was that there was jealousy. A lot of times when somebody is naturally talented, they have greatness within, and they are liked by so many, it could trigger other people who don't necessarily hate the person, but they want what they have for themselves. It's a reminder that they don't have it. And envy rears its ugly head. And a lot of times people can't even quite get through their own emotions. They couldn't even tell you what's happening on a subconscious level, but it comes out passively. There was a guy who was talking about his father, and his father had these big dreams of traveling the world and having acclaim and all this. And his son ended up getting it. His son in his son's lifetime got all the things that the father envisioned for himself. And what happened passive aggressively was he would not compliment his son. He wouldn't compliment his son. He would talk to the siblings, and the siblings would relay the information to the son. But the thing is that because the son was emotionally intelligent enough, he was able to not take it personally and look into it and eventually have a conversation with the father and uncover, wow, I am a constant reminder of what you didn't have. So don't be don't be bothered, but it's more so don't take things so personally when people act in a negative way towards you. A lot of times it's not going to be obvious that it's jealousy, and I really caution against saying everything is jealousy. Oh, she's acting this way because of jealousy. No, a lot of times it's not jealousy. Sometimes you're just acting a fool and people are irritated. But there are times where there is envy and jealousy. If someone is depressed, it's not fun seeing someone who's happy all the time. If there's a person who doesn't get down because of bad situations and they realize, wow, it's a person's mind that's getting them through, it's a realization and a reminder that you too could be having that freedom, but you're just not disciplined. When you see someone losing weight, instead of going, wow, they're doing it, it's possible for me, it's a reminder that I'm not doing what it takes. So again, don't take it personally when people hate on you. A lot of times you are a representation of what they wanted and want, but don't have the discipline to get for themselves. Last but not least, I want to talk about expectations of your parents. Prince Harry was talking about the fact that his father at one point cut him off, and he just doesn't have the type of relationship with his dad that he wants. He has a close relationship with his grandmother, but not his father. And he was also disappointed in the way that his dad handled the situation with his late wife. And he wanted to do things differently with his wife, Meghan. One of the things that I've been hearing recently happen a lot is children are forgiving the parents for what the parents couldn't do. Parents can only give as much as they know to give. And I feel like in our generation, we're in a unique situation in that there's so much information and it's readily available to us. Even if we can't afford a therapist or a counselor, we can go on YouTube, we can buy books. There's so much information, so many resources as far as self-help. Our parents' generation wasn't so lucky, and a lot of times they just didn't have the luxury of time. They were too busy trying to put food on the table and make ends meet. So a lot of parents didn't have emotional intelligence, and they didn't know how to be there for their children in ways that the children needed. And so I want to encourage you, if your parents have let you down and disappointed you in any way, have a feeling of empathy towards them and use it as a guide on what you can course correct with your children, but don't hold it against them. The same way you're not going to nail everything with your child, and your child might come to you 20 years later saying, Mom, I really wish you did XYZ differently. You wouldn't want them to hold it against you. Remember that your parents are still human and they don't always know how to give you what you need. And they might even know what they should give, but they might not have the tools to go there and give it to you. So afford them grace, the type of grace you're gonna want from your children. The other thing that you can take comfort in, especially if your parents are not physically there. Some people might have had disappointing relationships with their parents, but at least they were there. Others didn't even have the relationship because they were absent parents, or maybe they passed away, or maybe they abused drugs or alcohol and they just weren't present. But the thing that's so beautiful is that we can still have substitutes. We can have father figures in our life. We can have mother figures in our life. We have to get past the expectation that it has to come from our biological parents. But it's possible for there to be an auntie, a woman in your church, even a neighbor who can kind of step in and fill those roles. I always want to encourage people to lean into their power. You cannot control what other people do, but you can control how you react and where you spend your focus. If you feel the need for wisdom and a relationship with someone who's been there and done that, seek out people. So many people want to give what they can give to somebody younger than them. They can vicariously undo the mistakes that they did because they can see the other person living out their lives, not making those same mistakes. So they would probably be elated and honored and flattered that you wanted that type of relationship. Get what you need from life. That's the main thing I want you to walk away from. Get what you need. Be unapologetic about going after what you want. And you can live a life without regret as long as you live within your morals, your boundaries, what you feel is proper and right. Go with your gut. Your gut will tell you if you're doing something wrong. But as long as you're living within those boundaries, you can truly live a life without regret. Go out there. Do what you want to do. Be who you want to be. Say what you want to say. Do what you want to do. Live the life that you want to live. We only get one shot at it. If today's video was helpful, please drop me a comment and let me know what you think. Also, if you watched the interview yourself, let me know what your takeaway was. Hit that like button so I can see if you enjoyed this video. And if you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button. As I mentioned previously, I do a live stream on Sunday nights starting at 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, 7 Central and 8 Eastern if you want to join in. Sometimes I have guests on and we deal with serious topics. Other times I have a lighthearted live stream with my friends and we just kind of BS and talk about whatever we want to talk about that day. But either way, it's a lot of fun and I hope you can join in. Until next time, tell someone that you love them.